Westworld Season 4 Episode 7 Trailer Explained. With the ending of this week's episode looking like Maeve was going to be set loose in the city that Hale created, it's going to be an eventful episode for sure. With the trailer being released, I thought I'd break it down and give my theories and predictions for next week's episode of the show. So let's get into it. Here is Westworld Season 4 Episode 7 Trailer Explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. The trailer opened up with the line, "This may come as a shock to you, but in time, I think you'll understand," being spoken. We had this being voiced over as we had singular shots of the cityscape, Bernard looking agitated, Christina looking as though she was talking to somebody, which I'm going to guess was her roommate, Maeve sneaking around now that she's been reactivated, and also Hale as she turned around in her office. I think Hale is most likely turning around to face Maeve, as we saw later on in the trailer that the pair met and battled it out. Following this, we had a view of the city in a way that we've not seen it before. Nature is something that was being projected all throughout, something I feel we've not often seen be as prominent in the cityscape in previous episodes this season. We also had Teddy and Christina in the center of the city, following the revelation that she held the ability to be able to control things in the world in real time like Hale and William. She'll most likely be testing it out again and getting to the bottom of why she's able to do so, and why she's responsible for all of this. We then had a shot where we saw a riot control machine standing by, with what looked like William and another individual walking past it, with the voiceover specifying how it was the last day for their kind, and that it was time for them to evolve into the species that they were always meant to become. I imagine we'll be seeing Hale in an attempt to regain control of the city that seems to be slipping out of her grasp, force everybody to leave their human form behind, and transcend like she's been so desperately wanting the people to do, which is something I imagine is going to cause chaos and destruction, due to the fact that she even said herself that people are less inclined to part ways with their human form. With them staying in their human form, it leaves them to be vulnerable to becoming an outlier as more and more of them are drifting away from the control. So it's no surprise that Hale wants to get it done. After this, we had a shot similar to what we saw in last week's episode of William, and it could well be the same shot, but they've put it in the trailer to emphasize the plot and the importance of it. When we last saw William, he was talking to his human self about purpose and the lack of it, and also the lack of understanding of what he is. Although he's alongside Hale, he's most certainly a prisoner, and that's something that the human version made clear to him. The host version was worried about potentially becoming infected, in the sense that he'd follow suit with what all of the other hosts that stumbled across an outlier did. So I imagine we'll see if this will happen to him. But I think the main thing with this character will be if he continues to act as he was, obeying Hale's every command, or if he wants more for himself. I think it will be a large part of the story, and if he does switch sides, it would leave Hale quite vulnerable. This shot was followed by Hale looking at the seat where the act of transcending takes place, which we saw a couple of episodes ago, and we also saw her admiring a form that was somewhat unrecognizable. It also looked like Bernard was in Hale's office too, based on the location of where he was sat, the white walls, open window, and view of the city behind him. I'm imagining that himself, Maeve, and Frankie are going to be the main three that will be entering the main building in the attempt to take down Hale, following the message that Frankie received from Caleb in episode 6. We then heard the voiceover, "I've seen a path, maybe that's enough to give us hope," which was insinuating the many different outcomes that Bernard saw following the events that unfolded at the end of season 3. We also know this by the letterbox style shot, which symbolized when he visited the Sublime. Whilst that voiceover was going on, we had a quick succession of shots. The first we got was of Frankie and Maeve together. They were in uniform and it was looking as though they were preparing to enter the city to take on Hale. I think Maeve is going to be the one that takes on Hale directly, and we'll see Frankie go out and seek to locate her father so that they can be reunited for the first time in over 20 years. She doesn't know that he's in the form of a host, so this will likely come as a surprise to her. So there may be some elements of trust issues that they'll have to get past, as she will also not know that he's not susceptible to the mind control of Hale. This is further supported by the following shot that looked as though we had Stubbs and Frankie amongst the chaos that had been caused in a tunnel, most likely due to the conflict in having to give up the human form, but they both noticed Caleb in the distance, so it looks as though the reunion is definitely on the cards. We saw the chaos that was also unfolding in the green area, where it looked like there was both Teddy and Christina about to walk amongst it. Christina doesn't really know anybody in the city other than her roommate, Teddy, Hale, and her boss, so I'm imagining that she's going to be going back to her apartment to check on her roommate to make sure that she's okay, considering that it looks like all hell has broken loose outside, where I imagine we'll get a revelation of some kind, as her roommate has been far too involved for there to be no connection or wider issue at play. We then had a powerful shot of both Maeve and Hale facing off against each other, looking at each other before it looked as though the battle was going to begin and it taking place inside where Hale tends to reside. The pair will have it out, but I don't think that a winner will be decided in next week's episode. I think that it will be left until the season finale in 2 weeks' time. The final shot that we got was of Bernard in the Sublime, highlighting the importance of the visions that he saw and how he knows of the many different ways that the situation could unfold. I'm intrigued to see episode 7 of the show. We had an intimate episode in number 6, which was mainly focused on Caleb, which allowed Aaron Paul to deliver one of his finest performances in the show. We saw the vulnerability that Hale had and the paranoia she almost held, due to the fact that the control that she so desperately desires to hold over the city was gradually slipping away. And we also saw Maeve being awoken by Bernard and Frankie, which allowed them to now have access to the hero that they all need. I think next week's episode is going to be big, and I think it will end on a cliffhanger, allowing the season finale to be something that has everything at stake, with Hale and her team having the upper hand. Westworld doesn't tend to have the traditional happy endings, so I'm not expecting that at all. But I'm expecting there to be a twist that we've definitely not even considered yet. Something that may change the trajectory of the final 2 episodes. Christina's role has been underplayed this season so far, and the importance of the character has only just really come to light. So I'm looking forward to seeing what role she'll play in the closing episodes, and if she takes the side of good or evil. Aside from Hale, she's quite literally the next person who holds the most power, but she doesn't even know it yet. So, there you have it. Westworld Season 4 Episode 7 Trailer Explained. If you want to see more videos on Westworld such as endings explained, theories and predictions, or character breakdowns, then click on the I button. Or alternatively, you can head over to my channel where you'll find them all. If you want to give me a show or movie that you'd like me to review next, then head over to my Twitter, @brainpilot_, and tweet me what show or movie you'd like me to review. And finally, if you'd like to see what I rate the latest movies that don't quite make the cut to getting a dedicated video, then head over to my Letterboxd profile. It's where I rate the latest releases in real time. What do you think is going to happen next? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.